Hello and welcome to Furious Driving, and this is my new foolish impulse purchase. Yes, this is my new 2000 R170 Mercedes SLK 200 compressor, a car I definitely didn't need, but I saw it on Marketplace and I really couldn't say no, because this is, as far as I can tell, the cheapest SLK running driving with an MOT, little asterisk on the screen right now, running and driving but short distances at a time in the UK. I mean, come on, £400. You really can't say no to that, can you? I mean, it's more expensive to walk. But the objective of this video today is to basically find out if I can solve the problems of this car and make it run by the end of the video. I've got two objectives for this video. The first one is, of course, to fix the problems with it, which I'll tell you all about in a moment. Well, at least the ones that stop it from driving. And I want it to be roadworthy by the time you stop watching this video. Now, secondly, I want to see if I can do that for less than it cost to go and buy a good one of these. Because, well, this, as I say, cost £400. If I was to go and find a car in broadly this kind of condition with a few little clean-up things done to it, I'd be looking at £1,500 to £2,000 at least. So I've got a fair bit of money to play with, but have I bought a disaster? Okay, there are two things that are wrong with this car. The first thing which was wrong with it when I saw the advert was it's losing water. The last owners of this car had been using it daily, but it was using water at, frankly, an alarming rate. And that meant every time they drove it, they had to put in like a litre or so of water or more. And when I went to go and look at it, it was mostly out of water, or coolant, not water technically. So there is a fairly bad water leak somewhere from the engine. Hopefully I can find a leak and I can replace one or two small parts. It's not going to cost the earth, because a new radiator is £100+. The pipes, being Mercedes, are all going to be fairly expensive. It's a water pump, that's another £100 or £200. So we'll delve in and figure that out. The second problem wasn't on the original advert, but by the time I went to go and look at the car, it was definitely a problem. It's not got any electricity in the battery. So when I went to go and collect it, I went with Jason and Hippo the Freelander, thinking that if I got halfway home and it conked out, I could at least tow it the rest of the way. But we got there and it wouldn't even jump start from a jump pack. We had to put Hippo on it with the jump cables and get the thing to fire back up again. Unfortunately, as soon as we took the jump cables off, zip, nada, zilch, the car was stone dead. So there is either a very bad parasitic power drain or the charging system isn't working, and I need to figure out which one of those it is and then hopefully fix whatever's wrong with it. Okay, so it's not perfect, but it does have an MOT until October. The previous owners have just put a brand new battery on it a couple of weeks ago. They've just recently spent a lot of money fixing one of the rear electric windows, and come on, it's an SLK for 400 quid. So, what went wrong, I hear you ask? Well, there's a thing on the internet called Marketplace, and Marketplace is a very dangerous place to be looking for cars. I started out looking for four-wheel drives, Freelanders, RAV4s, anything small and practical we could stick a roof tent on. And naturally, I wound up looking at this, a folding hardtop two-seater convertible. This is my new Hippo the Freelander four-wheel drive practical tow car camping replacement vehicle. Things didn't go well this week, but it was very close to home and very cheap. And I'll be honest, I think as soon as I saw the photo of the two-tone leather seats in the advert, I'd kind of decided to buy it regardless what the price was. It's lovely inside, but it's not perfect. So bear in mind, if I want cars to flip through this channel to keep things moving for content, a convertible and an automatic is exactly the kind of car I'm not going to want to hang on to. So hello SLK. Let me quickly show you around the car and a few of the problems with it, and then we'll get on with trying to fix it. Now, if you're looking for a compact and stylish travel companion, you don't need to go and hunt out a Mercedes SLK. You can go even smaller without sacrificing style with the new redesigned Extra Wallet. The redesigned Extra Wallet is now made with improved quality Italian vachetta leather and fully recycled aluminium, and no plastic parts, so long lasting and easy to recycle, including the new ergonomic ejector button, also made of metal, and in the unlikely event that you do manage to wear it out, it's all covered by a lifetime warranty. It's slimmer but more commodious. It holds up to 7 cards in the main card holder area and up to a combined total of 14 cards and notes throughout the wallet. But as well as holding more, they've made it slimmer so it fits better into any pocket. I'm guessing this is from feedback. They now use raw, untreated, unlined inner section so it folds tighter and better across the front. The Extra though is more than a wallet, it's an ecosystem. So you can add a coin holder purse, and of course the Apple Find My and Android compatible locator card, which slides in the back so you can always find where you last put your wallet. And hopefully it's with your keys as well, if you're anything like me. Now, I have been using Extra wallets for a few years now, but they have literally just got better. I already had a couple in different colours to match my watch, my phone, my outfit, or more likely my car. And now you can choose from 4 standard colours. That's black, that's dark brown, navy and tan. Or you can pick from 2 exclusive colours, flare red or cobalt blue. Or currently the limited edition tangerine. Now, I love to add a little splash of colour to my day, and this goes perfectly with my watch strap and these trainers. To find out more, scan the QR code on screen now, or click the link in the description below. Order before July 14th to get 44% off in the sale, and use code FURIOUS for an extra 10% off at the checkout. Now let's get back to seeing if this car works. What's wrong with it? So first of all, it's a 2000 R170 200 compressor. So it's a 2-door folding hardtop convertible. Under the bonnet, it's got the M111 cast iron block aluminium head chain driven engine, which is a lovely reliable thing with the compressor on it. So it's got a decent amount of power under the bonnet. Along the sides, we've got the lower suspension because it's a sporty Mercedes. We've got the folding hardtop, which I really hope works. And inside here, we've got the cream and the black leather with the eucalyptus wood, which looks absolutely fabulous. But I have been onto lastVin.com and I've checked out this car's history based on its VIN number and all the Mercedes data we have to offer. It's not a huge list of options, but it's a little bit interesting. So I've got the VIN, I've got the MOT'd SLK 200 compressor, 5-speed automatic transmission. We've got the interior with leather, quartz and cyan beige, obsidian black on the outside, which I think is a little bit metallic. And it was delivered on the 14th of July 2000, so it's virtually 25 years old to the day at the moment, nearly its birthday. Interestingly, it was delivered to somewhere called the Rostock branch, and looking on the map, that's not in England, even though it's right-hand drive, so I'm a little bit curious as to where that might be. Now, the options that came with the car are the owner's manual, which is missing, the leather, which we still have, type destination on trunk lid elimination, so it does not got 200 on the back, it just says compressor. We've got cup holders, which are very interesting. It's an adjustable steering column, instruments with miles, basic anti-theft system, air conditioning, which I'm not convinced works, headlamp, left-hand traffic, high capacity battery, which is lucky. We've got the eucalyptus wood and the MB10 CD radio, which is no longer here. We've got a Sony head unit instead. We have also got heated screen wash, which is rather fancy. So there we go. This is the spec of what I've bought. Apparently 0 to 60 on this car is about 8 seconds and it's making about 190 horsepower if all the specs are to be believed, and it hasn't lost a few of those horses along the way. So anyway, let's tell you what's wrong with this thing. Cosmetically, here on the inside, I've got a broken speaker grille. I've got some wear on the leather. At 102,000 miles, I'm surprised this has worn this badly, in all fairness. We've got a lot of scratches on the cream parts of the dashboard and the doors. I don't know if that can be painted in, perhaps. We've got cracks on the steering wheel, but I'll live with that. I didn't think the headlining on a folding hardtop could actually sag, but yet it has managed to do so, and it is touching my head quite heavily, so that's something I think we might need to look at. That's the inside. The outside, though, it's not too bad, kind of. Now, if there's one thing an R170 does well, it's rust, and this car has got a few bits of surface rust around and about the place, most notably around the arches here and there and here and here and along here and all around here and a little bit here. Around here, oh, a little chip just here, and there's been some Parisian style parking here, but I'm hoping these are just pop out little panels that I can replace on their own. Other than that though, it seems fine. The front of the car does appear to be the national centre for stone chips, and there's not a single square centimetre that isn't stone chipped, so I guess the front bumper will need to be repainted. And the grille, I now notice, has faded quite badly, but I'm thinking it might have taken a minor knock at the front because this number plate is broken and the bonnet is slightly reluctant to pop open as easily as it should do. So what's actually wrong with my 200 SLK? Well, the owner was very upfront about the fact it was losing water and they didn't want to drive it. And when I went to go and look at it, they did say it wouldn't start without a jump pack. So I'm thinking there are 2 things mechanically stopping this car being perfect. And bear in mind, it's got an MOT until October. So this isn't a barn find, this isn't a spares or repair, this is a small mechanical problem kind of a car. The bonnet does need a slight help to open up, but it does open. So I think what we're looking at here is 2 separate problems. First of all, the water loss. And when I went to look at the car, the header tank was completely empty, and I put quite a lot in there. In fact, it does seem to have run out again now. And I'm looking now into the bottom of the engine bay, and I can see water underneath where the fan is sitting. So probably my first thought that we've got a split radiator might well be the problem. So we'll investigate that first of all. And secondly, we've got the fact that the battery was replaced a month ago by the AA and it's dead, or was dead again completely. I've had it on charge for 2 days, so it's now fully recharged, and it started and moved out here a second ago. I'm going to start it again now and put a meter on it and see what the charge volty thing says. So at rest, this has currently got 13.07 volts in it, having just started the car and driven it out of its little parking bay. I'm assuming without the charge make it happener doing anything. Now on the dashboard I've got warning lights for low coolant and low screen wash, but more importantly we've now got the battery showing 12.4, so it's dropping power all the time the motor's running. Okay, so revving it and the battery level drops when the engine revs up, so that kind of concludes that it is definitely the alternator. I think it's at fault, and it sits down there, so there's a bit of stripping out to get to it, and I think that's it. Now I need to go and locate where the water leak is coming from, and I've got a clever idea for that. Incidentally, I'd not heard the supercharger really do much until then. That sounded really nice when it revved, didn't it? Oh, there is one more thing I haven't done on this car, and that is I have not risked putting the roof down, and I probably should give that a go. The seller did assure me it worked. Let's give it a quick try. I might regret this. Normally you'd turn the engine on so you've got extra power to run the roof, but in this case, because the engine's drawing power as well, I'm going to turn it off. Nothing's happening. Why is nothing happening? Red light's flashing. Why is the red light flashing? It's beeping. Oh, okay, so we currently don't have a working roof. Oh, we do. I'm pushing it the wrong way, that's why. That's not good. I'm going to say we've currently got a non-working hardtop. It might just be low voltage. Let's hope it's that. I think it's this. I think this has to be pulled up before you can activate it. I hope. I really hope. If pulling this works, it's just saved me about £2,000. And normally you'd do this with the engine running to keep the power up, but because it's got probably no alternator, I'm going to do it without. Oh, everything's working, windows are down, including the rear quarter lights. Oh, flipping heck, that's clever stuff. Oh, wow. It works. It actually works. I think if I keep my finger on there, it'll put the windows up again. That's astonishing. Oh, what a relief. Isn't that amazing? We've got the proper rollover hoops, so if you do flip this thing, it's going to be nice and solid. This is about as safe as a convertible can get. That is so cool. Oh, thank goodness. This is just amazing. There's like total theatre. Amazing, it still works. 25 years old and still working perfectly. Apart from the rust and the fact that headlining is crushing my head, this is incredible. I must get this headlining looked at very urgently because this is really annoying. I think that's done. Cool, right. Does it still start? There's enough oomph in the battery still after 2 days of charging. Yes! Right, slightly trickier to identify is the source of the water leak, and I've been out here for a little while and I've taken off this air ducting and I've taken off the radiator fan and its big shroud so I can get a better look. And what I've found is whatever the water is coming from, it's happening on this side of the engine, in front of the passenger side, near side if you're in Britain, near the bottom corner of the radiator. So, to that end, I've been doing a bit of poking, and a few minutes ago I thought I might have found The easiest, cheapest, most amazingly free fix I've ever found on a car that was really cheap because of a problem. Couldn't see a leak anywhere in the radiator or anywhere down low. I refilled the header tank last night, and then this morning it had gone down about that much in the header tank. Where the radiator return pipe goes back into the radiator, it was literally running with water, as in not just a little tiny drip, an actual drip even with the engine turned off and with no pressure in the system. Just the weight of the water coming back down this pipe was flowing it down the side. Now I think, probably, hopefully, I might have got it sorted. I mean, I was still seeing water pooling down here in the under tray, but I'm thinking that might be just because there was so much water had run down and it was in the radiator and it was in the brackets and it was just finding its way out again. Because for a few minutes after I solved it, I kept on drying it and seeing the water reappear. So I've gone out and removed the header tank, moved it off to one side in case that was what was causing the leak. And the header tank's off to one side, the fan shroud's gone, and having been out and left it for a couple of hours and come back again, it now looks everything bone dry. I think maybe I might actually have cured it. I am genuinely amazed. This is potentially too good to be true. This car was being sold really cheap for the simple reason that it was losing water really rapidly and they're topping up all the time, and they had lost heart with the car. And I think I might have fixed it for free, literally just by turning an 8mm bolt. Incredible if that is the case. I've still got to buy an alternator. I need to work out which one of these big spoolie things is the alternator. It's one of them down there somewhere. I'm hoping that's the case. One other thing that has come to light while I've been down here, the bonnet catch is quite tricky, and I thought that's probably to do with the fact that there has been a minor bump. It has definitely been in a minor bump because the little screw bracket tabs that hold the radiator grill on are all in fact broken. And so I was going to replace this anyway because it is so badly faded. It should be silver. It's like a two-tone black and grey really. So I'm going to check eBay for one of these things tonight. But yeah, this has definitely been in a shunt. Now I know you're pretty screaming at the camera right now, but didn't you do all your proper due diligence when you bought this car? Didn't you give it a really thorough inspection? I'll be honest, I got quite excited and I looked at the basics of the car, and when we got to the will you take £400? Yes bit of the conversation, I don't think I actually walked as far as the back wheels, so I hadn't ever seen the back of the car until it went on the trailer. Now, if this is actually fixed for free, which is a massive result in itself, because a radiator of one of these things isn't the cheapest thing in the world. It's 170 quid, I think, for an alternator, having looked on eBay. I need to double check that with my local parts factor on Monday morning. The radiator, I'm going to guess, is going to be 3 figures as well. So it's certainly saved a lot of money if that was really simply just a loose Jubilee clip. That'd be amazing. But on top of that though, it would have been actually a bit of a faff to change this radiator, because being automatic, it's got a transmission cooler built into this particular radiator, not a separate trans cooler that's on a different network somewhere else. Like on my old Rover P6 3.5 litre, the transmission cooling system is part of the radiator. You've got a separate set of fins on the bottom, and that's what cools the transmission fluid. It's also got the air conditioning radiator attached to it as well, so all of those got to come out, and I'm guaranteeing that the fittings are going to be rusty as anything, so it would have been a real battle getting out. So I am so hoping that that is done. More actually for the fitting than for the buying aspects of this. So fingers very firmly crossed. Now I need to go and work out where the alternator is. I thought it was down there, but that looks like an air conditioning pump, and that looks like a power steering pump. Maybe it's that one down there? Yeah, the one that's, I think it's the one down there at the very bottom, the one that you really can't get to. Well, good news, this is all back together again, well just temporarily, but filled with water, minus the fan, so I can see everything nice and clearly and give me more access when I do the alternator. But I cannot see any more water falling out. I honestly do think this car's problems were entirely down to a loose Jubilee clip. Amazing, this is the most incredible fix I think I've ever had on a car. By the way, I checked the price of radiators, they are £100 plus postage. For the cheapy ones on eBay. Happy dance, happy dance, happy dance is happening in the background here. I'm also quite surprised at how long this car is idling just on the battery without any alternator input. So I'm wondering how far I would have made it home before it conked out and left me stranded if I'd driven off with a fully charged battery instead of trailering the car home. Right, here we are, first time lifting the car up and having a look underneath it, so exciting times. Incidentally, this is a prototype hat which never made it to production. My son's gone on a school trip today and he's chavved my actual nice hat, so I'm wearing an old one. And waste not, want not and all that. But anyway, a good chance to get a good look at the condition of the car, and I was going to say, when I first saw this car, it's got 4 nice Pirelli tyres on it, except this one has been smashed into a lot of curbs and this tyre is not in great condition, so that's the next thing I'm going to be changing, is this tyre before I really drive it anywhere. Anyway, let's have a delve underneath. I've just unbolted the under tray, which comes off with just 4 little bolts. I can slough over there. And there, easy to see, is the alternator. There's a bit of oil drippage on the sump, but I think that's fairly common on these. So the gearbox over there. Front arms looking in good condition, the anti-roll bar looking good shape. In fact, the entire car looks really clean and straight, so it's something of a relief, as I didn't really pay a lot of attention to it. So basically what I've got to do now is, there's a bolt there I believe, a bolt there, undo the connectors, and then slacken off the, I think it's an E10, and turn that to slacken off the belt, and hopefully that's all it's going to take to change this. For reference, it's an 8mm on the smaller one, and a 15mm on the bigger one. Off that wire pops, let's go and find ourselves, is that a 17 or something I think? Nearly out. Well, the top one came off like a doddle from above. This one's a little bit harder to get. It's really easy to see, you just can't get a spanner on it. That one, the air pipe is very much in the way. I can't quite get it. Yeah, leaving it towards my head, probably not the cleverest idea. Oh, it's out. So there are 2 bolts, 2 connections, and it's free. So, oh, it can only really go back in one way, so hopefully you can squeeze back in there. Right, just need to tighten this thing up and then we are good to go. Right, we're all back together again, although looking at this belt, I'm now wishing I'd ordered a new one because that is clearly not in its first flush of use, but hopefully it'll do us for a little while anyway. A few little cracks starting to show. I'll add that to my service list when I do that in the next video. So now we just need to see if this actually works. Currently showing 12.93 volts in the battery. Let's fire this thing up. And it's showing 12.39 volts. That's actually worse. Oh God. I just put an alternator on for no reason. That's not good. I was wrong. This is bad. Well, I might have wasted £120 on an alternator, but at least I can top up the screen wash. And there's one less light on the dashboard then. So, it's tomorrow. And yesterday afternoon I was more than a little bit dejected, it has to be said, knowing I just spent £120 on an alternator that possibly I didn't need, and the car now had some random electrical gremlin, and you know I hate electrical gremlins because they're so hard to find. So I spent the rest of the afternoon and well into the evening going through this car looking for any sort of potential fault, like a blown fuse, a bad earth. So I was taking earth points apart, cleaning them, taking the fuses out, cleaning them. A big thing to worry about is this whole area here, which lifts out as one thing called the J40 relay. That can cause you a whole bunch of problems. There's also a thing called the K46 relay, which is a crash sensor relay, and that will cut off the electrical system if there's a problem and can stop the alternator charging, even though the engine can still run with that cut, and people do sometimes bridge that. However, it's not where it should be, and I don't know if this car's even got one. All the photos of it show it being here where my ABS module is, and I've got ABS instead. But I did go through all of the fuses, take those out. None of those refer to charging or alternator or running, so didn't know what to do. In the end I was googling and going to as many forums as I could, and forums, I've got to be honest, are pretty useless these days. But then one of the Google image searches I was looking for the K46 crash relay showed a picture of a bunch of flat fuses, which I hadn't seen yet. Anyway, it turns out they were under this plastic cover down here by the battery. When you open this up, one of these says the magic word, F125A alternator 4-cylinder only. And that's what that is. That's a 4-cylinder. And it turned out, with a little bit of continuity testing, that this 125 amp fuse had blown. So it would appear that this is the reason the car wasn't running. So this morning, I've been out and I couldn't find 125 amp today. I've got 100 amp, which will do until tomorrow when I can get 125 in for me. But for the princely sum of £3.37, I'm really hoping I've just fixed this car. Give me a second to put that fuse back in and we shall see. Right, so the new 100 amp fuse is fitted, the battery's reconnected. So let's cross our fingers and really hope this does actually work this time. Right, let's see what it says. 14.29, yes! This car is fixed! So we've got no water leak anymore, and we've got a battery that is charging as it should. Amazing! Car fixed for £3.37, that is just insane. They dumped this car because they didn't want to spend any more money trying to fix the thing. And it was a leaky Jubilee clip and a blown fuse. That's nuts, isn't it? Oh, I'm so happy now. Okay, so we're out in the SLK for the first time for its inaugural test drive. That goes nicely, wow. That's actually pretty rapid. Well, this thing drives nicely. And I've got the roof up at the moment so you can hear me over the wind noise, because obviously it will be pretty loud with the roof down. That does mean that my head is pushed into the ceiling. You can probably hear it rustling all the time. I had to take my hat off because that was pushing into it quite hard. But we've got a warning light on still and I don't know why, but the car is running absolutely fine. I've no longer got warning lights, which were down here for the coolant and the screen wash. This thing is brilliant. I'm loving this car. Now, you might be saying you didn't really fix that car for £3.37 because you put a £120 alternator on it, so really you fixed it for £123. Now the thing is, I don't know if I needed that alternator or not, because there was a £50 surcharge on the carcass of the old alternator, so it's already gone back, so I can't test it. However, I can treat that as preventative maintenance because that is a 25-year-old alternator that was on this car. It was going to go at some point, so it's good to change it now when we happen to have it on the drive. Secondly, there's a good chance that the reason that fuse popped was because the old alternator was charging wrong. It's sending out a power spike, which is possibly just the regulator that had failed in it, but you know, it needed to be changed. So I'm going to assume that the old alternator was broken, but the thing that had stopped the car from driving was that fuse. So I have fixed this car for £3.37. That is ridiculous. This car was basically dumped because the owners had put a lot of money into just doing odds and sods to the thing, and it had been letting them down and they didn't know why, and so they let it go cheap because they were just done with it, which happens quite a lot. I can completely understand. I've been absolutely at the end of my tether with a car before, and I would have just left it in a car park with the keys in the ignition and walked away, just been so frustrated. So I do understand that. But having gone into it with, you know, fresh eyes and not having to be worrying about whether it's my only way to get to work or not tomorrow, I was able to throw a bit of time and thought at it, and it's been fixed for the turn of a screw and for a fuse, and with a preventative alternator as well. That is just amazing. I am so happy about that. Great engine. A 2 litre with the supercharger feels like loads of torque. It'd be so much better with a manual in it, I'll be perfectly honest. But you know, £400, I'm not going to complain too loudly. And the problem we've got now is the reason I bought this car was I was looking for a 4-wheel drive to replace Hippo with, so we can tow things around, collect projects, deliver projects, that kind of stuff. But it was too good to pass up. If I was a sensible, clever YouTuber, I would be looking at buying and selling a convertible for cheap now during the heat wave and getting rid of it while it was still sunny. But I'm not that clever, am I? I don't do that kind of thing. And although I am very happy to get this thing move on down the road as quickly as possible, make a bit of profit, because this car is probably worth closer to £2,000 once I've polished it and painted the bumper, especially while the sun's still shining. Right, dual carriageway, let's do a little bit of kick down. It sounds faster than it is. Mrs. Furious has said, ooh, I like the look of that. Can I take that for a bit of a drive? Because she likes the look of the MX-5 an awful lot, but she finds it a little bit worrying that it's a flimsy little 40-year-old car with no airbags and doesn't know how strong the chassis is compared to modern cars. I mean, if a 3-ton EV went into the side of the MX-5, it wouldn't be pretty. Whereas this is more of a modern car with a modern safety cell, a metal roof, airbags. She's quite keen to take this thing for a drive. So it might be difficult to pry the keys out of her hand. Her hot, sweaty little mitts, if you will. So this could be a problem. Anyway, the car's not completely done, obviously. It's back on the road, it's driving, it's running, it's looking good, it's sounding good. I might actually risk putting the roof down because this headlining is getting on my nerves. But yeah, there's more to do. I need to give it a good clean up, I need to give it a good service, change the belts and things, give it an oil change that dodgy tyre, that's not particularly great. Yeah, there's a few bits and bobs left to do. Make sure everything else is as solid as it hopefully appears. I am very, very happy. This has been a great result. So often on Furious Driving, I would take a car with an apparently simple problem, try and fix it, and it all goes horrifically Pete Tong. That roof is driving me nuts. But in this case, we've actually achieved our stated objectives. We have fixed this car for less than it would cost to go and buy a good example. And I'm pretty sure this will polish up, for the most part, quite nicely. Oh, I'm so happy. This is very un-Furious Driving to reach the end of the video with an actual functioning car which has gone as planned. Amazing. Rides nicely too. Quite firm, but still comfortable. Very Mercedes. So if you've enjoyed this, please, as always, hit like and of course subscribe, and check out the back catalogue of other adventures fixing cars. For example, just a couple of weeks ago in Sweden, rescuing a broken Jaguar from Stockholm and driving it hundreds of miles back to Gothenburg after we had to change the back axle and differential in a day and a half. That was an adventure. Yeah, like and subscribe, check those videos out, and join me again next time when, well, I think next video will be back on the Alpha 159 because there's a few bits and bobs to do to that. And then who knows, back on this one very shortly indeed as well. Thank you for watching. See you again soon. Goodbye. Oh, happy Mercedesing time.